Welcome to Attention Talk Video, where we pay attention to attention. Now, here's your host, Jeff Copper.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, cognitive engineer and ADHD coach, Jeff Copper. I've been doing a lot of insights and a lot of theory and mindset videos recently to try to help people understand that it's better to derive your own system than it is to take one off of the shelf. It's a little bit more complicated, but needless to say, is I wanted to kind of go back to insight, but I actually want to go to something a little bit more, might be kind of practical. And I've done this video before in the past a long time ago, but you guys always like new. And so you don't go back into the archives. So we're going to repurpose this. ADHD is an executive functioning impairment. And executive functions are a collection of mind tools that we use to solve problems. Problems are multifaceted and ambiguous. Organizing is multifaceted and ambiguous. And so when you have ADHD, the impairment is really when you're trying to organize or problem solve in mind, not so much out of mind. So I want to illustrate this. A lot of my cognitive ergonomics class and some other things is I've got lots of ideas. But the idea is, how do I organize that information in a way that makes some sense that people would digest? Because at the end of the day, it's about boiling everything down to the essence of really what it's all about. And so this is I hope I can hold this up. This is a poster board that I have, three-sided. And one of the things that I do often is, the first thing I'll do is a brain dump. I'll write down all the ideas that I have on a Post-it note, and I put it on the board. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the Post-it notes because I get it all out of my head. I can't hold it all in my head, so I get it all out. So then what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how I want to organize it. As an aside, I've done some videos. People don't realize organization is a two-step process. The first step, well, there's multiple ways of organizing the same information, right? The question is which one makes some sense? You could organize your sales force by product or by territory. That's two examples. All right. You could be centralized or decentralized if you're a company. Again, there's different ways. My point really is step one is you got to pick the organizational system, how you're going to do it. So what I find is a lot of people writing down their ideas and then moving them all around requires a lot of work. And so a lot of people do it like on Microsoft Word or something like that because they're cutting and pasting. But even that's difficult at some particular level. What I like about my little Post-it board is the first thing I do is I get my ideas down, I put them up there, and you'll notice that the Post-its are different sizes and different colors. So what I'll do is I'll take different ideas and I'll say, let's put it in this category and that category. Here are my stragglers, whatever. And so it's an iterative process where I'm moving this stuff around. And, you know, sometimes it's interesting because there's an idea that I really have that I'm really tied to, that I want to work, but it doesn't work. And then other times there's other ideas I'm trying to find a space for it. But I'm doing that over a period of time on a trial and error basis to try to figure out how I want to put this thing together. A lot of times when I get those ideas together, then what I'll do is I'll start put them on the different color Post-its and I put them together. Then sometimes what I'll even do is I'll start to have different things as a process. The thing I like about this is I'm getting all the ideas out of my head and I can move them around really easy, right? And I have done a video recently that people had a positive reaction to. Just think of it like this, is organization is like a jigsaw puzzle, right? If you know what the picture looks like before you do the jigsaw puzzle, it's a hell of a lot easier. But if you don't know what the picture looks like, you're really, really struggling. So when I'm doing this, I'm getting out of my head, I'm putting it down, I'm trying to get that picture to take form, and then I put it all together. And then when I'm set, I've got the diagram of what it is. I don't have to remember it. It's there. Now, this poster board is kind of big. And if you think about have those all over the place as well, you can get the kind that you just roll it up and put a rubber band around it and put it in the corner. And then so you can sprawl it out and you can roll it back up. But ADHD is an executive functioning impairment. Executive functions are a collection of mind tools that use to solve problems. The impairment is in mind, not out of mind. So all that I just showed you, technically, a lot of people think that you do that in mind. That's where the impairment is. But when I get it out of mind and I do it on the board, and specifically when I talk with other people about what do you think about this going here or there, I'm getting direct feedback on how to organize that information in order to put it together. Now, this applies not only to what I'm doing here, but around my house if I'm organizing it, with my virtual assistants on how I design programs. And so anyway, the idea here really is to illustrate, if you're sitting there trying to do all this stuff in mind, it's a challenge. If you do it out of mind, it's much healthier. And the Post-its are pretty cool because you can move your ideas around relatively quickly. And like I said, I have the hard poster board, but you can roll them up and put them away really easy and then pull them out. And then actually have a map of what you're doing when you're done. And again, you can add Post-its and put it into a series of steps so you know what's kind of going on. So anyway, I hope that's given you pause to help to recognize this isn't about trying harder. It's about getting the accommodation, right? The board and the Post-its, and do the problem solving and the organization outside of mind, not inside of your mind. That's why this would be easier. Now, for some people, they resist because it's tedious and boring. Well, you also resist thinking. So sometimes it's helpful if you do this with other people. So anyway, I hope this has given you pause to think about this notion of ADHD as an impairment and out of mind works. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're an existing person, what are your thoughts, comments? Do you do this? Do you have any clever ways that you want to share with our people? Anyway, I hope this is giving you pause to think. Join us next week for another great edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.